My health world, namaste, enlightenment.
So, namaste. Welcome everyone to another beautiful episode of My Health World. I have such a beautiful couple here with me, Solreta Antaria and Evan Strong. Hello.
Hi, Carrie. Thanks for having
Hi.
us.
Yeah, we're very happy to be here.
I'm just so honored to have you both here. Solreta is one of Australia's, or I'm going to say the world's top psychics. And of course, we'll
Oh,
have links to her work. And I just got a sneaky little card reading from her just before we hit record. And yeah, just amazing. Been following you, Solreta, on your online readings that you do. And wow, absolutely incredible. And we'll get into that a little bit more. And Evan Strong is an archaeologist. What we're going to talk about with Evan today, he does a lot of different work, as does Solreta. But just to theme it in for today, we'll be discussing starseeds and star beings, our star family. Evan actually works in terms of he's discovered some Palladian skulls and all sorts of things. So it's absolutely powerful. Again, we'll have a link there to Evan's work, and you can follow more what Evan does. Guys, first of all, how would we best describe what star seeds are? It's something that we get asked again and again in our business, particularly because not only are we a yoga business, but we conduct healing courses as well. So we definitely have a lot of what I call trippers come into trippers come into our business, and I mean that in the highest possible regard. It's wonderful, and what we mean, obviously, by trippers is that you can literally trip through the galaxy. So I know that the people listening to us here are already on that trajectory. There's been a lot of extra photonic light coming into the planet recently. So those who maybe weren't so aware of the mysteries of the galaxy and maybe hadn't opened their third eye to the degree that they were able to interact with their star family, but then now having almost like what they were like as kids, having this imagination process kick into high gear, and they're like, what's happening to me? Am I going crazy? I'm getting a lot of those questions at the moment. A lot of people are connecting to symbolism. They're seeing star beings, animal totems, these sorts of things coming in, and they're really needing a little bit more insight into what's going on. So how would you, I'll pass it over to you, Solreta, how would you describe what star seeds are versus star beings? If you could touch on that for us.
And I guess there's sort of like the hybridization in between too. So starseed to me speaks on a soul level. So it's that your soul feels or remembers having lifetimes in off-world places, or you find yourself here on Earth and things just don't make sense. Which, you know, a lot of the viewers watching this show and a lot of people that, you know, follow our work, we have a lot of starseeds follow us too. So some of them will have memories or recognition from particular places. So for me, it was really strongly drawn to Sirius and to Pleiades, and those two kind of being almost like a light that kept shining, or like when you hear the name or you look at that star system, it just kind of sings to your heart and sings to your soul.
This is definitely trending at the moment.
Yes, it definitely is. Yeah, and there'll be, you know, people talk about physical characteristics. So like when I've done my work and traveled to the States, I remember this one experience having this sweet old lady who was in her 90s, and she thought I'd literally hopped off a Pleiadian ship. She's like, it's okay, you can tell me. I know that you've hopped off a ship. And I'm like, no, I was born here on Earth, but, you know, do have that Pleiadian aspect. And there's different countries as well that will, you know, talk about Pleiades, as Evan talks about in his work too. Did you want to say your version?
I mean, there was probably best summarized by a paper I read a few years ago, and it was an original elder talking about the Pleiadians being countrymen from the sky, or the cousins from the sky. So they feel that connected to Pleiades that it's just like, yeah, it's my second cousin or whatever. So for them, it's a very direct connection. And then since finding that the Native American talk talk about moon beings that only come out at night. So yeah, there's mentions of it all around the world. And it seems certain cultures will have a certain constellation that they're more connected to. So yeah, there's definitely a few out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always interesting. And then over the years, obviously meeting a lot of people. And then this is always the funny thing for me when you see two people, they don't know each other. We've brought them together, probably it's 40 degrees, and we're like, they want to volunteer. So we're out in the bush looking for something and, trying not to die because of the heat, because that's Australia, it gets hot. So, but you see these two people that don't know each other and they just look at each other and they go, I know you, I know you. And by the end of the day, they've worked out that they've shared a life together, a past life, whether it be Andromeda, Sirius, Pleiades, wherever. And you just see these two people just bond, and you know that they've known each other before. I mean, that's always amazing to watch. Every time I see it, I'm like,
it's beautiful.
It almost comes to the point now where I see two people looking at each other, I'm like, yeah, it's about to start.
Yeah.
They're about to work out.
You're watching the magic.
Yeah, unfold.
That's incredible. And so, Evan, the elders here in Australia do say that we're all of Palladian descent. Would you say, and you mentioned at Solreta about the hybridization as well. So obviously we can carry in different codes, but in Australia, we all have that Palladian, would you say DNA, maybe the way we would describe it?
Yeah. I mean, there's I think Valerie Barrow talks about in her books, the craft that came here, and talked to a few other elders about that as well. And they talk about the moments where that interaction began and how they then needed to incarnate into, I think in some of the stories, they've either been shot down or crash landed, and they've needed a vessel to kind of incarnate into. So in that sense, we're kind of like a mixture of a bit of that starseed, star being, and a bit of earth-based hominid, all mixed together. And with my psychology background, I always like to look at different, the dualistic. So you've got like this independent spiritual side of everyone. Then you've got this other one that's a bit like, yes, I'll just do what I'm told. So you wonder, I always wonder, where's that bit come from? Where's that bit come from? We are definitely mixes.
And for anyone who finds this difficult to understand, we're really talking about archetypal energy, aren't we? So if, from your psychology background, and I've got a psychology background, that's how we can best have insight into this, that we all carry different archetypes within us. So we could also look at the cultures on the earth. So we've got Chinese people, Asian people, we've got people from the United States, Canada, we've got people from Europe. They all carry different codes, cultures, archetypal energy within them. So we're just expanding our awareness out that little bit more to embrace these star beings. Why do you think, let's have a chat about, why do you think that there is resistance about the notion that star beings, dare we say it, the word aliens, ETs, actually exist? I mean, I'd like to sort of point towards that our third eye chakra has been completely arrested by the practices that let's call them the dark controllers on the earth have brought in. So Solreta, can you speak a little bit more to that? Why aren't we able to access that connection so easily?
So for like majority, a lot of us are born with it, and it's as we grow, sort of, to and beyond, especially before the age of 7. If we're told it's imagination, I think it depends on how strong our will is. So I had very strong will. So my parents telling me, oh, it's just imagination that you're seeing things, or it's a dream. No, it was this code within me that just made me want to prove magic to my parents and to capture what it was that I saw. So if people want to see, I've got UFOs up on YouTube that I filmed over my place in Melbourne. I've got daytime ones, nighttime ones. I've been to Italy to film for Japanese TV and meet with another experiencer. And, on that show, we had an amazing UFO come in. This is something that happens all over the world. People that have these kind of collective feelings or experiences, or, that feeling that they're a starseed, or that they're not quite from Earth, or that there's something different, and they have that sense and purpose of having a mission. And I think that's something, when you have that within you, it keeps you a bit more open to the different aspects. And I describe it as realms. So like when I see ETs or interdimensional step in, it's like they're peering through a curtain. So I see this like fine gossamer curtain, and I see them sometimes pop through walls, literally. That energy kind of step into our dimension. I think we're all kind of open to that as kids. You'll see, even with my 3 kids that are now 20, 14 and 12, even watching them grow up, you'll see them sort of like look at things, or you'll see, the cats or dogs look at different things. And when you've got that spiritual sight, you can see what it is that they're looking at.
Oh, I love it. The gossamer curtain. That's just beautiful. Because often they're appearing to us in that light, harmonic frequency, vibration. So we're using a different aspect of our perception in order to see them, perceive them. These are sense them. These are the words that we need to use. And of course, we all had that imagination. I love that imagination. It's I magic nation. If we live within magic, we're able to have that connection all the time at our disposal. And of course, there's benevolent star beings and there's malevolent star beings. So that's something that we also need to be discerning about. Same as people on the earth, sometimes you're confronted with energy that is not pleasant or could even be moving into darkness. And at that point, you remove yourself from their orbit. Same too with any star beings that come around. I mean, I know in my life I have them pop in every so often. I just tell them to bugger off, get out of my house. You're not welcome here. And so people need to be aware of that side of things as well. But I love that more and more we're seeing people open up, to these. In particular, these benevolent star beings that just have so much to offer. They're never here to impinge on our free will. They're never here to tell us what to do, but they can certainly share so much wisdom with us. I almost see them like they're looking down, almost like we're a reality show for them on Earth. That they peer down and like, oh, that's interesting, but let me give you some guidance here. And I guess we need to also talk about the difference between what our spirit guides are versus who the star beings are. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Evan, and let's talk about, and I know you guys have got some beautiful shared experiences, so I'd love to go into that story as well. But let's talk about some of the encounters that you've had with the not so friendly ETs.
Yep, one particular comes to mind, and keeping in mind this is back when I was in high school, and I had the nickname Mulder from the X-Files because everyone came to me with their, I've seen a ghost, I've seen an alien. Okay, let's sit down and talk it out.
And I had Scully in school growing up in a different part of Australia.
You guys, look, I have to say this is my favourite couple. They're just the most divine lovebirds. I can just being in their energy field. We spent some time together recently at Uluru, and honestly, just being in the energy field of these two is just these bliss waves. It's just lovely. So I'm sure everyone's feeling that through the airwaves as well. So carry on.
But yeah, so I kept on having these experiences, and it was the more classical grey, the white face, the black eyes, and they used to come and visit. They'd come through the wall, and it happened about 5 or 6 times. And I was doing art, and I went, screw it, I'm gonna paint this. My experiences, and one in particular when I kind of woke up and this beam of light came of its finger into my third eye, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll paint that. Why not? And why not just hang it on the wall where they came through the wall to visit me? So I did that, and when friends came over to stay over, they couldn't sleep near the painting because the actual figures in the painting would come out of the wall at them, and I'm like, what have I created?
Wow.
And they were just like, yeah, they made me actually burn the painting because it scared them so much.
It was like a portal that had opened through your painting. Yep. Incredible.
Yep. And I'm like, I don't think I'm that good as an artist, but maybe just captured the energy of what happened and it went in there. Yeah, because I did. I think at that time it got into one little art gallery showing, and
Amazing.
I did kind of peek at a few people looking at it, and they had this like amazed and terrified look on their face. I'm like, what have I created? Oops. You don't quite know what's going on, and you just express yourself. But yeah, obviously, as I researched more into it, and generally that archetypal face and being's probably not the nicest one out of the spectrum of star beings.
Yeah.
I went, oh yeah, okay.
But wonderful learning, wonderful insight. So let's talk about those not so pleasant star beings. We're talking about the draconians, we're talking about the zeta reticulans. However, within those star clusters, it's not that they're all bad. It's not about that at all. It's just that they perhaps are the ones that have got themselves aligned with what I'll call the cabal or the Illuminati or the dark controllers. They, in the astral realms are said to be controlling, the puppets here, the cabal puppets here on the earth. Do either of you want to talk a little bit more about those entities?
Do you want to?
I'll let you go first if you want to.
The Greys as well. I mean, I'll hand it over to you, Solreta, to...
Yeah. I guess because I've had clients, for work, I do aura drawings and I draw beings that I see around clients. And, quite often I'll be drawing something that they've maybe never told anyone. And I'll be talking about an abduction experience. I'll see them on board craft and different things. So I guess it's really about reminding people of their sovereignty and that they do actually have free will and do have control over what happens to them in regards to the astral or interdimensional side of things. So it's really about gaining control over our frequency, because a lot of these ETs or interdimensionals are all kind of working and tapping in through the dimensions with frequency. So I always talk about it like reestablishing your IP address. If you're ever having negative experiences or psychic attack, you need to kind of gain control or regain the access to override things. So I'll use it in a visual sense of, okay, what does my energy field look like right now? Like if I'm meditating, it might appear like a triangle. So I'm going to shift that frequency and vibration to look like like a star or a lotus flower. And in doing that, you go offline and it's like changing your IP address. I found that that's one of the stronger techniques that works because, people will say different holy verses and, do sage, and sometimes it just doesn't seem to work. But when you actually shift your frequency, it helps you to be out of alignment with them. And there was a lot more experiences in the early 90s and even into the 2000s, but it really sort of started to, the negative side, I guess, like on an interference level, died down maybe around really 2012 a lot. Yep. There was permissions and things, and things revoked, I think.
I definitely concur with that. Like I had those initial experiences with the grey light figures and haven't seen them in ages. Since,
before the contract was up.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
But an example of something, whether it be interdimensional or something, years ago I'd broken my back and could barely walk. Long story. So that was under attack, and it was like a bleeding of a dream that came into this reality, basically. And it came to the point where I was actually standing out of bed and slapping myself awake, and every time I blinked, these figures were still there. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't good. I'm actually awake. And then the pinprick of light opened and I could see the beings getting ready to step into this reality. And I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. Like, I've got nothing. Like, what they want to do is not going to be very good for me at all. But the moment of I'm screwed, my name was called out, my full name, Evan William Strong. And it wasn't me, it said it. It was
You've got
goosebumps
on your arm as you're talking about it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was loud enough for everybody else in the house to hear it. And they even woke up and said,
wow.
Evan yelling his name. And it was my middle name too, Evan William Strong. The moment my name was said, gone. Like they disappeared. And for whatever realm they came from, like it was bleeding into this one, and I had nothing until that point. So just an example of how special one's own name can be in that situation when we really, and I mean, I still don't, I've got a theory of who may have said that, whether it be someone that was obviously looking out for me, and off they went, you know. So even in that moment of crap, we've still got power. And I'm not saying everyone runs around when something bad happens, this is my name.
Evan William Strong. Evan William Strong's not working. Oh, that's right. Got to say my name. So maybe your guide, a benevolent star being, someone from your star family had intercepted.
That's right.
For you, Evan, it sounds like the veil between the worlds is very thin at times. You know, with your painting, you're able to pierce, you know, that veil very, very easily. And is it something that you do at will, or are you finding that these supernatural experiences, you know,
it just happens? And it's Steve's fault. It's my dad's fault. He gets them, and now I get them, and he still gets them. And we have jokes about it, like who's winning with experiences / curses and whatnot.
I love it.
But funny you said the veil, and that brings us back to our where I was. The veil was where I grew up with, the veil was really thin. But that brings us back to a story that we experienced, that we both had together, and only just discovered that we had pretty much the same experience.
Oh, the childhood one?
Yeah, the childhood one.
Do you want to mention that one?
Yeah, and then I'll let you do your bit on that. So, yeah, I think I just said it pretty cash.
When we're at Uluru, yeah.
And, but it's one of my earliest childhood memories. But to give you the veil context, the place we were is probably one of the thinnest veiled places I've ever experienced, to the point where people would hop out of the car and just start screaming, going, "I'm out of here." You know, people would visit for a couple of hours and just go, "Who's singing?" And I'm like, "No one's singing," but they can hear it in their head. Like, it was wafer thin. So my earliest memories are just looking out the window and seeing original people picking cherry guavas and waving at them, going, "Mum and Dad, someone's taking all of our cherry guavas." And I was lucky because they kind of didn't go, "It's imagination." They kind of said, "Oh, okay, right, okay." And they actually encouraged that in me. But and then just being, and it was only later that I realized this wasn't normal. I'd be out playing with my dog and cat, and there'd be people talking to me. And it was actually not in English, it was in a different language, but I could understand them. So this is what I grew up with. But bringing me back to that story, I'd lie in bed and then look over, and there'd be a wardrobe, like a Narnian style. It was an old, I think it might have been silky oak or whatever. It's this old wooden wardrobe. And this kind of, what I call the floating television would come out of the wardrobe, and then it would show me things. And I guess it might have been orb-ish shaped, but a lot bigger than the ones you normally would see on video and camera and stuff like that. And it would just beam stuff into my head. And I call it the floating television, and I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I wasn't particularly scared over it, but I couldn't even blink. It was just like a massive beam coming into my head. And I'd ask Mum and Dad in the morning, "Where's my television? Why did you take it out of the room?" And I'm like, "You don't have a television. There's no television in the room." But that happened a lot. But it also happened to you.
Before, we've only recently got together, but been best friends for 5 years, and thought we'd pretty much talked about everything.
Yeah.
Turns out we hadn't. There's like a whole nother wardrobe of information that we had. So for me, going back to early childhood too, grew up very similar to Evan. except my parents thought it was a lot to do with imagination until I went, when I was 15, to kinesiology, and he's like, she's a psychic, she's actually seeing things. And so it changed my parents' perspective a little bit. But yeah, I used to, I remember going to the movies. My dad took my sister and I to the movies when we were really young. So we saw Lady and the Tramp, and I got home, we got put to bed, and I remember saying to my sister, oh, that's weird. Like, why are we watching this movie all over again? And she's, wasn't sort of part of the experience. So I don't even think she answered me. But I remember watching the whole movie from start to finish of Lady and the Tramp projected on my wardrobe. And I also had another wardrobe, which, different things would come out of. We reckon like there's an interdimensional wardrobe thing around some experiences. But yeah, I remember I would have a lot of beings come in and do kind of like checkups and different things. And I remember sometimes going off-world onto craft and, being in school and things off-world, but more for like telepathic education and, learning how to use abilities and more like the multidimensional experiences. But yeah, I'd never heard anyone else that had that projector TV experience.
Yeah, because I've asked all sorts of people and no one else has had that experience.
I'm sure there would be, but to meet someone in the physical that has had that experience,
I just love it.
Yeah.
And also a beautiful confirmation, of the alignment between you two as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And it reminds me of Taken. Have you seen the Steven Spielberg series Taken?
No.
So it talks about how sometimes the experience will actually, when they see each other, they might recognize each other from, abduction experiences. So what I feel like when Evan said that, I'm like, we've known each other so much longer than what we physically know on this planet. We've known each other, whether it's, off-world in school somewhere else or, there's something that's brought us together. It's what it feels like. Yeah.
Oh, it's just so beautiful, so sacred. And yeah, what an incredible story. And hopefully for people listening or watching, that they can have that memory of what happened for them in their childhood, and to realize that it wasn't just fantasy. We use the word imagination, but that also means that it's real. It doesn't mean that it's not real. I know my mum, with my sister, she had two imaginary friends, and she's a very conscious being, but back then she thought that there was something wrong, so she knocked that out of my sister. She said, no, that's not real, darling, that's not real. And she's so sorrowful now that she ever did that to my sister. She just wishes she had have encouraged her to keep that connection. So for any new parents out there, just remember, it is real for your children. You as adults still have that connection as well. Let's bring back mystery. Let's bring back this opening, particularly at the moment. What's happening, it's January 2021, what's happening on the planet, we need the connection to the benevolent star beings. We need their support. They are desperate to help us at the moment. I know, because we were together on the 21st of December 2020 with the amazing grand conjunction, magic box opening, the solstice. Anyone who's aware has felt like they've almost been rebirthed, got a different body. Everything's changed since the 21st of December. We know we saw so many ships in the sky, through the ceremony that we were doing. And I know my download is that that star alliance has formed in a greater way, as has Earth Alliance. So we've got this powerful new wave of energy. It's been there for a long time, but it's come together. The alliance has formed with such strength and such purpose and such deep love. And I can feel that energy carrying us forward and moving us into, whether we call it a fifth dimensional frequency, golden age. We all have different terms for it. Actually, let me pause before let's talk about that first, and then I've got lots more questions for you. But what was your experience, and do you resonate with what I've just said about that Earth Alliance and Star Alliance that's going on at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. And we were chatting just a little bit before, going on air too, about that blue portal that we saw, over Uluru, Katajuda, I'd been speaking about it since about March. I think it was around our first lockdown here in Melbourne. All of the clients that I was working with, have very different auras or will have different beings that pop up. What I saw collectively was there was less guides appearing in auras. It was actually, it was more like, we'd done the work, we'd been through the practice, we'd been through the training, and now it's grand final time leading up to Uluru. So the guys were kind of, sort of standing back, like waiting. But the thing that I saw that I'd never seen before in all my years of reading, and I've been doing readings, whether it's for friends or then starting professionally a little bit later, for a really long time, since I was 15. So I'm now 40. So I'd never seen this blue flame energy that I started talking about in March. And every time I would see it around a client, or I'd go out in nature, or I'd see it, in someone that I loved, there would be like this blue flame, if they were in heart energy. And that's the way to anchor this blue flame energy, which is also connected to Blue Soul Group, which we were chatting about, like, Pleiadians, Lyrans, Sirians, some inner earth beings, and some of the elvish realms kind of connected to this blue flame energy as well, and assisting bringing that and anchoring it onto the planet. But that was, that moment after ceremony, and we had like the bird signs, and the clouds in the sky was kind of stormy, with the red earth dust of Uluru sucked up into it. And then after ceremony, to have the sky pink and orange and that beautiful kind of sunset colors, but a big blue flame energy portal in the center. I was just like, I'm like, that's what I've been talking about since, March.
Yeah.
And
powerful. Yeah.
So powerful. And it's around us. Like, he just arrived yesterday, and I'm like, I just smile, and like, our hearts connect, and there's that blue flame energy there. It's around that love space is where it's anchoring and growing. And this is a shift that we're moving into. And when we anchor more of this within our realm, and we step up to that vibration, this is when I see that portal and the ET contact coming. It's like when I see that they're coming back to teach and to work with us as kind of star brothers and sisters, but more to teach us about who we are as humans, and the divine and unique gifts that we have, because we're actually quite special in, galactically speaking, because we do have that empathy, we do have that heart, but we also have a lot of telepathic and psychic abilities that we're not yet awakened to. It's that extra part of the brain, and that's what, if we can anchor and stay within this heart energy and make that shift, this is what we're going to be learning a lot more about, as well as the nature and earth too.
It's so exciting, isn't it? I'm just bubbling listening to you. Love it.
It's really exciting.
Just remembering us just after that ceremony at Uluru, just trying to like grab a toothbrush and walk through a door. It's just like, everything was really
things falling through our hands.
Yeah, it's just like, I was holding everything. That, and it would just fall out of your hand. It was like we were barely still.
And just laughter. And dancing. We ended up dancing, like anchoring the energy in that way too.
End up dancing a lot, didn't we?
But the 3D thing was funny.
Yeah, that was quite amusing. But look, there's all sorts of things people can do to get into that realm. Where there's plant medicine, there's all sorts of things people can do. Most of the tribal cultures have their system of accessing that. So in that sense, we're very lucky to have all this information on our doorstep to find out what resonates with us to get into there. But just about everybody I speak to's had at least something. They might have that skeptical mind, but if you dig further enough, there's something. And I have seen a lot of people recently that hardcore skeptics, like they worship the god skeptics of the skeptics, whatever that god's name is.
I got to use that.
Skeptosis maybe would be the name of that god. I don't know.
Gosh.
Stuff's happened to them, and they've asked for help in this realm, and I'm like, what? Okay, let me process this for a second. So I'm seeing some massive changes even for people that I thought, they won't, and they're experiencing access into that world, into that different realm. So
isn't that phenomenal? And, we saw the Schumann resonance really spike at the exact time that we commenced our ceremony, and that, said to be 15 million people across the earth were also in ceremony. If anyone wants a little bit more information, you can follow other podcasts and interviews that Solreta and Evan have done. And also Evan's dad, Steve, is on a documentary that we did, which will be it's on our YouTube channel. It's not on our podcast channel, but it's on our YouTube channel if anyone wants to watch that and learn a little bit more about what went on. But Evan, you've just touched on one of my questions, which was, yes, how do we open up that little bit more? So you're talking about the plant medicines and things like that. So what plants in particular could people access other than good old cannabis? We probably know that one's great. Not everyone resonates with cannabis, and it could be CBD oil and these sorts of things. But what else? I mean, we know about mushrooms and ayahuasca and these sorts of things, but maybe that's a little bit hardcore for some people. Is there anything else that we could suggest?
Well, there's the wattle.
That's what I was thinking.
The wattle's pretty good. There's one that I work with a lot. Fortunately, my plant died in the last drought, so I'll have to find a cutting of it, which is salvia or psychedelic sage. That's a good one to decalcify the third eye, to the point where I've had with me and they've gone, there's a weird feeling here. I'm like, no, it's good. You actually want that weird feeling. Oh, I don't know what it is. And then to the point where I had a friend that had never done anything like that before, and she had her eyes shut. And then I'm like, how many fingers am I holding up? And she could see for a third eye.
Wow.
Like what playing card am I, that's the Queen of Clubs or whatever. Like, yeah, to that point. That one, I think it was pretty popular back in the 90s, but that one's a bit hard to find. I think Australia is the only country in the world where they've made that illegal. But yeah, it's probably, it was for divination, so you would give it an answer. You'd ask a question, it'd give you an answer. But more often than not, what it seems to do is give you laughter, because that's the medicine, to the point where we've been just hysterically laughing over a dumb joke. Like 10 minutes and we come out of it and you're just like, wow, I really needed that. So, but yeah, I guess wattle in Australia is probably a very good one.
And what's the best way with the wattle to sort of access the codes or to take in the energy of the wattle?
I made a tea. Yeah. So I think there's about 400 different varieties. So I started around that time, I started to see the blue flame energy. I started to get wattle speak to me, because I'll get called to go to different places and they turn out to usually be sacred sites, or that, something particular has happened there. And there was wattle that was amongst near the Yarra River, and it was, a women's site as well. And there was lots of different wattle variety, and I did not know which one to pick. All you can do is sort of Google and kind of find out. It is in the acacia family, so it does have components of DMT, dimethyltryptamine. And yeah, I just went, you know what? I talked to a friend who'd done it too, and something felt right about one of the plants, because I have had a lot of plant communication, just even working, because my background's in natural medicine too. So certain plants, like working with bark flowers, you get to kind of tap into whether it's the spiritual psychology of the plant kind of speaks to you and you get wisdom that way. But this one particular wattle kept calling to me, and it was these fluffy little balls of sunshine. And so I made a tea, which is what one of my friends who'd done it recommended. And when I made the tea, it was just like my heart chakra. I was going through a lot of hard breakup stuff at the time too. And my heart chakra just got blown wide open.
Wow.
And I just felt the most amazing bliss. I've actually got a photo that I put up, just being in that state, surrounded by crystals, just laying in a crystal grid as you do. But it was just, it felt like it helped me to shift through and kind of sift through some of those hard emotions and step into that pure, open-hearted sunshine feeling. All I could describe to him when I was telling him about the experience was it was like sunshine coming out my heart.
Wow.
It felt, yeah.
When you think about the real yellow of the wattle too, it is like sunshine, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah, definitely definitely be careful. I mean, I did that at my own risk.
Mm.
But yeah, really quite as subtle. Like you would have to be in a meditative state probably to feel something like that. But, you know, even working with flower essences and meditating with the energy of a plant, because plants have a spirit to them. And when you're drinking that plant medicine, you're working with that spirit. So even for people that are a bit apprehensive on working with other plants like ayahuasca and that can be a bit more harsh. You know, you can meditate with the spirit of the medicine. So meditate with Mother Ayahuasca, ask her to help bring up things for you to work with. I especially recommend that for anyone that's going and planning on doing ceremony, to meditate with the plant for 2 weeks before, walk in nature every day, you know, communicate with her and ask her, what do I need to be shown so that when I do have this experience, that it will be peaceful and it will be productive.
And
Oh,
I
that's
guess we're
beautiful.
like points in nature that are triggers as well, like I guess around near the carry on hieroglyphs, there's, you know, I've taken a lot of people there, and as has Steve, but we've seen people just look at the grandmother tree, the big Angophora, and they've just broken down crying. We haven't even got to where the hieroglyphs are or
She's
the healing
beautiful.
table, anything like that. So, and I've seen people that are, you know, have very little interest in what we're talking about, but they just see that tree and it triggers them. So it can be something as simple as just that, and then that's changed the whole life because they've just seen this massive Angophora tree, and I mean, she's very special.
Yeah, she is.
So yeah, there are points in nature that are kind of catalysts as well. Yeah, I guess talking about the veil again, I guess there's portals and veils and little places that are thinner where you can access that as well. But,
that wisdom in nature and in the earth, and we've moved away from it, but it's time to cycle back and come into that learning and understanding again.
That's right. Yes, I mean, so many people living in high rises in cities with concrete around them, so it becomes more challenging. You know, diet obviously plays a huge factor. The quality of the water that we drink. You know, these are all things that actually we're in command of, and that we can change it ourselves, and we can open up not just our third eye center, but all of our chakras can become open and functioning at their optimal level, and really having that connection with the divine and with these beautiful beings that are here to support us as we are here to support them. And I love what you said, Solreta, about the humans. You know, to me, the downloads that I keep getting is they have the golden ticket. That's the exact words I keep hearing. They have the golden ticket. So I believe that all eyes are on the Homo sapiens because they have that opportunity to ascend at the moment. So grab your ticket, everyone, because it is happening. For people like ourselves, we're not sure about Solreta because she may have actually come off a Palladian ship. We're not 100% sure about that one. And maybe Evan, I'm thinking, I don't know.
I did get told I was going to have a painful birth.
So other than these two coming off the ship, so, you know, we probably did all get birthed here. So we may be like, I'm Starseed Andromedan. You know, I've got another Andromedan best friend. I've got another Orion best friend. You know, there's all these different, my mum's Palladian, like there's all these different starseeds here, but we were birthed. Therefore, we carry the codes of the human as well. And there's this ascension process that it's like a gateway's open. It's like, jump on that high road, everyone. Let's go. Get your golden ticket and off we go.
It's exciting times, isn't it?
I've got standing deals with a few people like, when they come get you, then you got to come get me. Back up plans.
Evan's driving the ship. Like, get on.
But and the other one that I resonate, and this is an easy one for some people to access, is sound healing. I've had about 5 different versions of that. It comes in many different forms, but I really struggle to meditate, like, because this never stops. But there's a few of those where I'm just immersed in sound, and I've just disappeared out of my body or whatever, and I'm like, I can't do that normally just meditating. but when you're surrounded by that sound and it just kind of draws you out, that for me, yeah, that's some of the best experiences I've had. It's just, whether it be Didge with an original elder or with the gongs or whatever, there's definitely, and there's people doing that everywhere. So that's an easy one for people to participate in if you're a bit scared about plant medicines or whatever, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not a scary experience, going for a nice little guided meditation and then being immersed in sound.
I'm so glad you said that. To me, it is the most potent of the healing energies. The other potent one is something like a Reiki, just pure hands-on healing that's coming through, you know, that universal channel. But for Andromedans, you know, sound really is everything. So sound healing for me, Evan, is definitely the one that takes me to that very connected space. And yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And I know that it has the ability to heal cancers and all sorts of, you know, so-called illnesses that can't be healed. Of course, they can all be healed. And we've got the technology at our disposal right here, right now to, you know, to heal ourselves. Yeah, I absolutely love that. Solreta, did you want to say something there as well?
Oh, I've actually got a set of the crystal bowls. I'm pretty lucky, but sometimes when you get two of the bowls, they'll resonate together, and you get put into this binaural beats, transcendental. I call it a transcendental sound bath. So sometimes when I'm playing them, I'll have I've got one of those wave lights that changes color, and I'll project it onto the roof, and you just lay there and be in that bath, but you've got the color therapy at the same time. It's just it's pure magic, and it shifts so much. It shifts such big vibrational blocks. I've experienced it to do with, you know, going for heart healing, having sound healing, and it just shifts years and years away, if not even sometimes past life stuff. It'll shift. It's just so powerful.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And again, it's all natural. It's all free. It's all available to us. We've really, you know, need to commit to ourselves and to our own rituals, whatever they may be. And the rituals, of course, can change day to day, year to year, but be open to what you're being shown and what the synchronicities are in your life that lead you to the next, you know, to the next ritual that's going to be very effective for you. Oh, I've just loved to. I'm already looking. It's already time. I don't know how that's actually happened, but I've just loved talking to you both so much. Can we have a discussion before we go, just about let's look at the different. I know there's many star races, but could we talk about what we'll call the main ones, just so for the people that are listening, they may have a sense of, you know, where they're from or the attributes, what they connect to. We may not get to cover it all today. For anyone listening or watching, we have our own meditation over at My Health Yoga TV. A lot of you are already members there, but if you're not, go over to there, because we have a star seed guided meditation. We've written it out, all the qualities of the star seeds as well for you. But I'd love to hear more, just a psychic download and a channel from Solreta about, you know, just see what comes through and what you might want to share with us today about the main star seeds.
Yeah, so I speak, since I was little, I've always had this other language. So when everyone was even talking about, you know, hearing this other language and understanding it, part of me is like, really? Because that's like another thing that that we have in common. I think we're just going to keep finding out more about each other. And but yeah, so some people will recognize different light languages that will speak to their heart or speak to their soul. They might receive images, downloads, different things. So I predominantly speak more Syrian and Pleiadian, but you'll get others come in. And the weird thing is, sometimes you'll be around someone that you might not have met before, or someone, and you just get this feeling that they're a starseed. There's something within you that's like, I know they're an experiencer. And sometimes I'll hear like a dialect or language with them as well. So a lot of the way to kind of pick and feel like where you're from, or like feel into it. For me, I started having big visions of this blue star that would just keep appearing to me. And then I'm like, blue star. And then other Syrian messages would pop up. So there's a lot of lifetimes that I've had in Sirius, which is sort of, you know, more connected to water, connected to knowledge, and helping other people connect to knowledge too. But then with the Pleiadian aspect, there is it feels like a frequency thing for me. When I talk about Pleiades, and a lot of the UFOs that I've seen and filmed will come in through Pleiades. So it seems to be a gateway that kind of runs synergistically very well with human DNA. So we do have a lot of Pleiadian hybrid people that are living on the planet. And it's not to say that we're all, blue-eyed, blonde hair, because we're not. Like, there are like a lot of people that really associate or kind of vibe with different starseeds. One of my beautiful friends, Barry Littleton, who lives in Kansas in the States, he's Black and really is part of that community for experiences of many different colors and races. So it's not that you have to look a certain type to vibe with a certain, starseed race or ET race. So, it doesn't really mean what you look like, it's who you are on that soul level. So for me, it feels like, having that soul match or that soul feel, but you'll get this feeling, you'll hear one of the names, for me, like Andromedans work so much like with symbols, and they really do like a lot of coding and working with healing. I've actually got a list. There was a book I was starting to look into writing, but I've got way too much on my plate. I've got a cookbook and another book on energy. But, so far I'm up to about 60 different races that I've either sort of seen, interacted with, or, like had experience with on some levels. So there's so many. So it's really about into what speaks to your heart, what speaks and just feels familiar. Sometimes like you watch a movie and you're like, something feels familiar in that, like watching Lord of the Rings for me. And when they go to like the elfish, village or the castle, I'm like, I've been there, I've experienced that. So it's paying attention to what resonates.
Oh, I would love to read your book whenever the right time is for you to.
Just letting everyone know. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, amazing. Evan, have you got anything you'd like to add there?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, it's just one of those things. I think as everything opens up more and more, we will find our fellow starseeds where we come from. It's just becoming more and more apparent. As I've always been saying, at the moment, everyone's becoming more love, more hate, unfortunately for some people, but
separation.
Yeah. So I do think it'll get easier and easier for people to find that aspect of themselves as more and more people, just we all experienced what it was like having 15 million people all focused just on Uluru, and I'm talking people all around the world. So imagine when more and more people, we keep that energy going. What we're going to find out about ourselves, our past, where we come from, who we are, who we're connected to up there. We'll less likely be drawing paintings of greys coming out of the wall and scaring them. What's going on? Stuff like that. But And,
what an experience though, Evan, and that's how you learn, isn't it? We learn. That's how we have insight. Yeah.
I'm actually getting shown Spirit's showing me a really funny because you get like movies and projections and things from Spirit. They're showing me the scene in Harry Potter where there's the sorting hat that gets put on the head, and it's like they don't necessarily get to decide like where they're from, but it's like Gryffindor. Spirit's just showing me that right now.
That's good. I like that.
That's cool. So let's have a talk just to wrap it up. Because you talked about the I'm going to call it the bifurcation of timelines. So some people are experiencing a lot more resistance, a lot more hate was the word that you used, Evan. There's this seems like there's a division forming, whereas some people are definitely experiencing more connection to their star homes, deep unconditional love in their hearts, breaking down a lot of belief systems. As I was talking about before we went on to air, I'm definitely going through this, and I've been very much anchored in a business that has been all about healing and yoga and crystals and all of these sorts of things. But even within that, I'm becoming very discerning of what aligns with me and what doesn't. So it kind of doesn't matter what you've been doing or what industry you've been a part of. I feel en masse we're all going through a collective breakthrough and a break away from things that no longer serve our highest good. Of course, we are seeing those who are, I see it like holding on to the riverbed, you know, like gripping with tension and fear, whereas the rest of us have just let go and we're allowing the current of the river to take us where it needs to go. And it's a wild ride, obviously, because we don't know. There's bends in the rivers, there's twists and turns. We're not exactly sure what's happening, but we go down that wild river ride with a lot of trust in ourselves and a lot of faith in, you know, in a benevolent God goddess frequency. What's going on? What is this bifurcation of timelines about? The elders talk about the high and the low roads. You know, I'll hand it over to you just to have a bit of a philosophical chat about what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, there seems to be, there's a quote I usually read, which I don't have with me, but yeah, it talks about just hopping in that river and letting go, and there'll be other people in the river, so don't worry, it won't just be you. There'll be many people in that river, and then many hanging on to the side going, oh, I don't like this. But it's basically, yeah, just becoming heart-centered and just not taking it personally. So I have to work on myself. Thank you, social media. But yeah, so yeah, that's a wonderful. Yeah, we've all got our challenges in that river to face, but yeah, I'm also excited that we can all jump in there and see where it takes us, because yeah, you know, the mind talk about splitting of the paths, and you know, I've been reading about this stuff for a long time, and I went, oh yeah, you know, I have hope that it'll happen. And I'm like, yeah, it's here right now.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Yeah, we are so in it.
But there you go, you know. So
and we are getting trolled a lot. You know, and it does help us to remove our egos. It's not pleasant, of course, but it certainly does help us to remove our egos. Yeah, I've never experienced so much hatred coming at me, because we've always operated within our own inner circle, our own websites. We've come out last year with our podcast and doing some of these YouTube interviews, mainly because I hit the point of despair. And I know when I hit that point within myself, I'm being asked to take action, because despair is not an option for me. I'm not just going to, you know, waste away and wither away within that frequency. And so you're having to find a lot of courage. And I know you have tremendous courage, Evan, in the work that you do, and in the face of adversity, which I personally don't understand. Like, to me, you and your dad are just absolute heroes. Like, I just, you know, I'd kiss your feet now, darling, but, you know, we're on Zoom. So, but like, it's at that level. Look, I'm just looking at the clock. It's 11:11. So it's, you know, it's like, bang, you know, there it is. It's what I'm saying is truth. And anyone who doesn't believe me can bugger off.
And I have to watch it over and over myself. When they experience the resistance, watch a JP Spheres thing where he's doing his dry sarcastic thing about trolling, and he yells out to his wife, oh, a troll said that we shouldn't be married anymore, you need to leave me. And then she yells down, oh, a troll said that? And he said, yep, okay, I'm leaving you now. Nothing's more noble in the world than someone that can't make any change, but just attack people that are trying to make a positive change. And yeah, he's got some great points in there.
Love him.
Yeah, he's so funny.
You've got to laugh. You've got to laugh.
But then I think Sasha Stone was doing as a joke Troll of the Week, and he just posted a comment of his most favourite defamatory comment, and I'm like, yeah, that's another way, you know. I think, and look, I've got to work on that. You just kind of, you know, whatever, and laugh it off and just keep going. I say now. That's what we're just all got to do, I guess.
I guess we're in training, you know, to disidentify with the need to be liked, you know, whether we call that ego or not. I'm not 100% sure, because who knows why it's happening, but it is happening. And yeah, but I feel for your brother, and it's not on. Look, I got the sword in my hand. I'm like, Excalibur's been with me, well, probably since 2018 actually. But it's like I used to hold Excalibur just for power. But now, like, I lift the sword. It's like, you're going to come in, because if you're entering this space, like, I will chop you away. Like, and I've always been, you know, that Andromedan, very soft, we know we're a watery realm. We're very compassionate, very loving. I've got, you know, 3 water elements in my astrology, you know, my trine, and it's like, I'm just all water. But no, all of a sudden this fire's come into me, and Excalibur's up and pulled back. So, you know, we use these symbols to help us through. But I kind of want to jump in on other people's behalf too. But I know it's not my place. I get very fierce and very protective, like, you will step back, you won't do that. So but you know, I've had you know, within the yoga industry, and I've got well, a couple of friends, one here in Sydney in Australia, but not so bad with her, but another friend in the States, and she's got multiple yoga studios, kind of like a franchise situation. And because she was speaking up about this awakening process, what's happening with the children, adrenochrome, and all of these sorts of things, her political stance in the US, she literally had the other studio owners, which she was the head of, they all had a meeting without her and decided to cut her out of the business. That's her business, her income, her organisation, and they've found a way around it to, I don't know the exact legal details, but to remove her. And she has handled it with such grace. I am just, yeah, so inspired by her. And she's continued on. It hasn't made her, you know, shut her throat chakra down. In fact, she's spoken up even more, and she's just forging ahead and finding a new way. And it's like, you know, watching her see her whole business just crumble around her, and just go into this deep trust that God has her back and there is a new way forward. So, you know, I've definitely been questioning what this spiritual path is about. You know, those who want to hang on to the terms of love and light, but actually won't engage the spiritual battle. Like, that you must engage the spiritual battle, in my opinion, at this time with what's happening on the planet. And don't be afraid to be fierce. And you know, when the trolls are coming at you, swing back the sword, baby. That's what I say.
What happens to trolls when sunlight hits them? They turn to stone.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a nice little metaphor.
I love it. I'm using that. That's good. That's good. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that you would love to impart to the beautiful souls that are listening, and any other trolls that are listening?
We have restarting our online conferences, and that's going to be in Australia the 28th of February, over in North America the 27th of February, and Solreta's talking at that one, and we've got Barbara Randall and Alan Parsons and Uncle Lewis Walker, so they're all going to be speaking with us, and Leah Capitelli, so, and Dad, of course. So yeah, that's coming up. So yeah, a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, that's my shameless plug. Sorry.
Oh, plug away, and we'll have links to all of that as well in the video notes, or in the, if it's on the podcast, we'll have it in the notes there. So that's exciting. Yeah, I love your online conferences. And so many people, honestly, Evan, you know, ask us for more information about what you and Steve are doing. So yeah, there's a lot of support coming through. Amazing.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah,
Important work.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We've got this network and friendship with all of us and each other, and we can all stand strong together. Like, that's me. I just love the connections between people and how we're all supporting each other. That's what I love the most, really.
Part of that new energy that we're anchoring and where we're going.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're all lucky enough to be at Uluru together, so
Yeah.
it wasn't that.
That was amazing meeting in person.
Yes.
So-
Yeah. Just and it's like a new tribe is forming. I actually read the other day that since 2020, maybe for some a few years before that, but we are seeing a dropping away of those that we're not in soul alignment with, and then new tribal members who are old ancient tribal members, but we're reconnecting again at this time for this momentous energy that we're bringing forth, this ushering in of this golden age. It's so beautiful. And Solreta, where can we find you? How can we follow you? There's so much beautiful work that you do.
So I've got a YouTube channel I haven't touched for quite a while, because I'm usually on other people's shows too. So I do a regular weekly show, which will be on tonight on Facebook, on Spiritual Events Directory, where people can pop in and ask questions, and we do live cards. I'm also a regular reader on another show on YouTube called Beyond Mystic, with my beautiful French-Canadian friend Jean-Claude, and Evan and I have been on his show too. And we do shows on Kundalini awakening and talking about Tantra, and other shows on spirituality and on pretty much everything you can imagine. So yeah, I'm on there quite a bit, but needing to put attention, I guess, it's been a big shifting and recalibration after the year that we had last year, especially here in Melbourne. So I've stepped back from another job that I was doing 2 days a week, more into my own business. So hopefully this year it's more time to be able to output and to be able to share a lot more. So yeah, just excited about the future, and the Soul Tribe coming back together. And it's just, I'm excited for the year ahead.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. And I know that people like yourselves, healers, light workers, light warriors, Starseeds, way showers, grid workers, all of them, they're so needed at the moment. And I've been shown even more so as we go forward. In my meditation last night, they literally used the word, it's going to get grueling. And not, I don't mean that in a negative sense, but the workload will seem at times grueling. And that's the word that came through. I was sort of like a bit resistant to that, but I know what they meant. They meant that, get ready, we're going to gear up. And it's like, haven't I been working hard enough? Like, come on now. It's like, no, you got more in you. Yeah. I'm like, okay, but we need that support. And that's why it's good to be connecting with our star family, because they are going to shower us with that support. We're going to have incredible amounts of energy. And I love my sleep, but I was being shown last night, you'll ultimately only need about a couple of hours of sleep every night. And I'm like, really? I don't know about that. But we've got to be open to what's ahead of us, and how we will be. We're already now that conduit for that energy to come through, but I guess it's going to increase even more. So and I'm definitely wanting to participate in that, and absolutely excited for what's happening now and what's ahead of us. So thank you, beautiful souls. I could honestly just keep asking you lots of questions, but I will let you go. I know you've got another couple of podcasts tomorrow. These guys are so popular and in demand, so make sure you follow them on their different channels, and I know we'll have you back again, have another little chit chat. So sending you much love, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste.